I've said since day one that Mike Johnson is a little weasel, and he's a pathetic human being who only cares about himself, and he's a weirdo.
He looks stressed the last couple of
Well,
days
he
on
should be,
TV.
because a lot of this is on him, and he's
And
taking
pouty,
the brunt of
and
it.
very pouty when they ask questions.
But Mike Lawler made the rounds. Mike Johnson made the rounds yesterday.
He had to.
And he did a bunch of different interviews on a bunch of different networks. And you know, he looked terrible. But I'm not sure any moment looked as bad as when he made his appearance on C-SPAN yesterday, because they're very smart at C-SPAN, and they allowed people to call in, Republicans, to call in. Some of those people who voted for Mike Johnson. I want you to listen to this call-in, where a mother calls C-SPAN and is pleading with Mike Johnson. She says, my kid could lose his life. You could stop this if you wanted to.
I heard it. I did.
It's a mesmerizing moment. And, of course, Mike Johnson gives his half-hearted, weak answer. But just have a listen to this exchange.
And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party. And I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that. Or you refused to do that just for a show. I'm begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military's getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right, Samantha.
Samantha, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. The reason I've been so angry this week, and they've been calling me out on media, Johnson's angry. I am angry because of situations just like yours. I have a big military district.
Yeah, so what? And then he goes on his nonsense talking about, well, I have a big military district and nobody cares more about our military more than I do. Hey, dummy, then why don't you open up?
Why don't they fix it?
Why don't you do something about it,
Yeah.
you dope? You lying dope, fake Christian, you? And then a C-SPAN caller, Leonard, calls in and says, when are you going to fix Obamacare? We've been hearing the same thing for 9 years from Trump and MAGA supporters about how much they can't stand Obamacare. Then what is your replacement plan? There is no plan.
We have already voted to pay the troops. We did it 3 weeks ago. We put that bill on the floor, and the Republicans voted to pay the troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol, Air Traffic Control, and everybody else. The Democrats voted no. Go pull the record. It was 3 weeks ago. We had the vote. Only one Democrat voted with us to pay the troops. We've done it. The House has done its job. The reason the House isn't here in regular session is because they turned the lights off.
And here's Mike Johnson in his press conference, who probably deserves, I don't know, a Golden Globe or maybe an Academy Award by telling the American public how upset he allegedly is. Have a listen to this.
People are upset. I'm upset. I'm a very patient man, but I am very angry right now because this is dangerous stuff.
The real issue here, ladies and gentlemen, is our own are not getting paid. And when I say our own, I mean our military, our brave men and women in uniform, the people out there.
We have
Airports are canceling flights. People
Yeah.
are getting stuck. Do you think they care? They don't care. Marjorie, not to change subject, Marjorie Taylor Greene went on this morning, who, you know, stepped away from the Republican Party, and she said the only thing that she could suggest was the nuclear option, to have a filibuster. And I believe that that's a complete flip-flop on her part, because on the one hand she's saying she's worried about the medical coverage and we need to bring people back to work. We need to sit down and negotiate. And what is there, 1 or 2 Republicans in the entire hallway? But at the end she said, and we may have to use the filibuster option.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, it makes absolutely no sense to me, except other than the fact that these MAGA Republicans do not care.
They're just angry because they got stood up to.
Well,
that's exactly what happened. The Democratic strategy was to use their leverage before they lose it, and what they're angry about is they can't just push them around. And now the polls say that, I saw one this morning, said 71% of Americans think that the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. That's what he's angry about. He doesn't care about the people.
Right. He's very upset. Give this man an Academy Award. He sounds really upset. He's so upset that he wants to take Medicare away from 20 million Americans. He's so upset that behind closed doors, they don't want to pay for somebody who's undocumented who needs life-saving care in the ER. He's so upset that right now he could pay these people in our
Is he
military.
upset that Trump threatened people's jobs and said, I'm going to cherry pick which people get to stay and which people get to go, which people get paid, which people that is the most un-American thing I've heard in a long time.
So if you want to hear Mike Johnson continue to lie,
Pout.
why not put a standalone military pay bill on the floor? This is the question that Mike Johnson is being asked. He's being asked, why not put a standalone military pay bill on the floor? And Mike Johnson's response to this is absolutely insane. Have a listen to what Mike Johnson has to say about this.
We have already voted to pay the troops. We did it 3 weeks ago. We put that bill on the floor, and the Republicans voted to pay the troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol, air traffic control, and everybody else. The Democrats voted no. Go pull the record. It was 3 weeks ago. We had the vote. Only one Democrat voted with us to pay the troops. We've done it. The House has done its job. The reason the House isn't here in regular session is because they turned the lights off.
Okay, first of all, that is a complete and total lie. Why isn't he being called out on that? It hasn't passed the House. It hasn't passed the Senate. And the reason why it hasn't is not because of Democrats. You lying scum, you. He's lying in a press conference. That is not because of the Democrats, Mike Johnson. You are a liar is what you are. You are a liar.
He's scrambling. He doesn't know what to say because they're getting the blame. And what he should have said was the reason why it didn't get a vote was because there was no continuing resolution
Correct.
for the subsidies for Obamacare, Medicaid, Medicare. That's what he should. That's what really happened. He's picking one thing, saying, "Oh yeah, we put money in the continuing resolution for military. It's not our fault." That's not the whole story.
Of course it's not the whole story. Of course they're going to lie. They're still blaming Democrats for this government shutdown, which couldn't be further from the truth. The Democrats don't want 20 million people to lose their health care. The Democrats want to be able to say firmly that if you're an undocumented immigrant and you need life-saving care, that an emergency room will not ask you for your paperwork. Look at the big and beautiful bill, as they call it. Takes away health care from millions and millions of Americans.
The Republicans are trying to walk that back, but it's not working.
Yeah, all the Democrats want to do is to keep things in place before this big, awful bill was put in place. That's all the Democrats want to do. They're not trying to get health care for undocumented immigrants. It's illegal. We all know that undocumented immigrants do not qualify for Obamacare subsidies. We know that. But the Republicans keep lying. And then when you question them on it, their lies, what do they say? They say, oh, well, that's eventually what the Democrats want to do, like they're fortune tellers. I mean, it's so insane.
They're proposing that they would come back to the table after the continuing resolution passes.
Right.
And what the Republicans are saying, hey, let's just give us our money, and then we'll come back before December 31st, and we'll give you everything you want. And I got to applaud the Democrats because they're using the only leverage they have. Remember, they don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, they don't have the Supreme Court, they don't have the White House, so they're using the only leverage they have, which I agree with.
Mm-hmm.